So today, just what I wanted to talk about was our next assignment, which is essentially a text illustration. What you're going to do for this assignment is basically pick a word. In the past, I've had students do words that had some kind of action, like a verb, but really any word, to a degree will work. But I would pick something that you're interested in, either in terms of the concept of it or what it means, or just something you come up with an idea of what you could do with it. So here are some examples. Basically what I do is I start out with the text. So I just type it out like normal, get my type tool, and I type out the word. In this case, I chose growth. And what I'm going to do then is do kind of what we did before with the monograms, but I'm combining a lot of different skills into this assignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create outlines on it, and then I'm also going to ungroup it so I can work with each individual letter, which is kind of, this one is the first step, this would be the next step. At this point, what you want to do is kind of start thinking about what that word is. In this case, we have growth. So when I think of growth, I think of things growing, blooming, maybe trees, plants, some kind of foliage, and I want to create an illustration that kind of shows that visually. So what I started doing in this case was I was just using my white arrow tool, and I was pulling up portions of it to kind of stretch it out, maybe pull even down the bottom. I think actually it was more what I did on this one. And just, taking sections of letters and kind of just manipulating them in some way. You can see here kind of the evolution. So this one is the original, and then we have the G turning into what I was kind of going for was like a root, and then the R was growing a little bit. As you go down here, you see how I kind of combine them there into one thing, so it maybe looks a little bit more together. Again, a little bit further, maybe a little bit changed. And then I started kind of adding stuff on. Now when I add stuff on here, what I'm looking to do is maybe use my pen tool to create those lines, or a pen tool to create the leaf, which is actually a separate shape, if you kind of see what's going on there. I could also use the blob brush tool, really anything that's going to create stuff. For the pour one, what I was thinking was like liquid, things that come out of glasses. So I took the word pour, I started tilting the R to kind of make it look like it was actually pouring something. I stretched the U to kind of make it into a glass, and then I started adding stuff and changing colors because when I think of pour, I kind of thought of water, and then I thought of rain. So I was kind of trying to think of just different ways that I could think of that word within its concept, and different ideas for it. When you think of pour, you think of pouring water out of a glass, but also when it rains, it pours. So, trying to really create an interesting way of representing that word, okay? Here's some other ones. There's bloom, a little bit different. I was kind of thinking of bloom, what makes it bloom? Watering a plant can make something bloom, maybe the sun. So you can really add as much stuff as you want to these. The big thing is, you still want to be able to read it, at least be able to read what the actual word is, but you also want to illustrate it. So it should be interesting, which is kind of why I want you to think of really, words that you're going to be interested in designing. Okay, this one's a little bit more advanced, but I thought they really did a nice job here, and they kind of completed the whole image. So they took the word dubstep, and they kind of thought about, all right, what am I thinking about when I think of dubstep? All these mixing things and tools and things that would go into that idea of dubstep. Then they kind of went a little bit further. Then they did the shadow. So it's easy to read, and it's interesting, and it's fun. That's really what I want you guys to go for. So you are actually going to be doing 3 different designs, I think. So for right now, we're going to start with saying 3. And each one might take a day. It might take longer. But these are really trying to, get your creative juices flowing and think about words, think about letters. How can you manipulate them? How can you plug in ideas? How can you come up with the best image with that particular word? So tomorrow I will demo more of how to manipulate the letters, though you guys really have all the tools that you're going to use already, in that you use the regular black arrow, your direct selection, your pen tool set, your blob brush tool, and then our eraser, scissors, and knife, which all these have separate demos up on YouTube right now as well, so that shouldn't be an issue for you to find any help that you need with that. Okay?